Welcome to the Nourish You Podcast, where we question the traditional model of dieting and nutrition and focus on choice, fun, and health for the whole mind, body, and spirit. I'm Jana Maurer, a non-traditional registered dietitian and well-being expert, and I want to challenge you to take 2% of your day today, listen to this episode, and make this your health win for the day. Pop in your earbuds, strap on your walking shoes, or pour a big glass of wine, whatever you need for today, and tune out the world as much as you can for the next 30 minutes, and let's fill up your cup. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Nourish You Podcast. My name is Jana. I am your host, and today I am going to be doing a solo episode. So I've had a lot of guests on the podcast, and I really wanted to take the time and opportunity to explore this one solo and share just from my own experience, but also from the experience of working with so many men and women in the weight loss space. So if you receive my newsletters on a weekly basis, you know that for the month of October, the theme is the emotions of weight loss. Now, this can be, there's so many different layers and different ways that we could go within this topic, but I really wanted to dive into the positive, the neutral, and the more negative emotion or the negative emotions that we often experience. I would say every single person experiences in the weight loss space and the weight loss journey. So I want to start by reading to you what I sent out to the individuals that are on my newsletter. So in big, bold letters, I said the emotions of weight loss. And like I said, that is our theme for October. So if you are curious to get more information on this, even outside of this podcast, I encourage you to sign up to receive my free newsletter. I send it out every Tuesday and also on Fridays. So you get oftentimes all the information or even, great deals before I post it on social media or sometimes even before I share it on the podcast. So if this is something that really resonates with you, I encourage you to sign up for the newsletter. So here it is, the emotions of weight loss. It is a topic we rarely talk about when it comes to losing weight. Often we keep weight loss very, very surface level with our conversations, and we really don't dive into the depth of what could be triggering us to have the desire for weight loss. So here is what you may say to yourself, what you may say to others, or what you may have heard others around you say. This is what a typical weight loss conversation looks like in our society. I'm starting my diet on Monday. No carbs, no sugar, no bread. That is usually the definitive statement that can be brought up around the idea of weight loss. Versus, here is the in-depth weight loss conversation. I'm disgusted and have extreme grief over how I look, and I can't believe I have let myself get to this point. I have no clue how to truly care for my body. I feel selfish when I make time for myself, and it feels really scary to take care of my own needs. So, do you see the difference? One is very surface level, and one is very in-depth. When I work with my coaching clients, we get to the depth of it because ultimately those emotions, those feelings are driving you to engage in certain behaviors. So the way that I like to think about it is, and there's a lot of different thought on this, so just go with me either way. There is our thought. Our thought brings about an emotion, and our emotion brings us to an action. There's also the thought that our emotions lead us to thoughts, and our thoughts lead us to actions. So either way you want to put that, I like both of them because I think thoughts and emotions can certainly be intertwined. And sometimes our emotions, trigger us to think certain thoughts, and our thoughts trigger us to think certain emotions. So I think it goes back and forth, back and forth. Ultimately, what that is saying is that is leading you to take certain actions or inactions. So this is where I really like to say, first and foremost, if you know me, I don't like small talk. I literally do not like small talk. I could care less if you're going to cut carbs. Seriously, that sounds horrible and I don't want to be a part of it. So no thanks. And two, it also reminds me of my favorite universal law at this point in time in my life, the law of duality, which simply states or means that this and that are true. So, for example, you can accept your body in this moment and you can still want it to look different. Those two can coexist and be present in the same moment. But it really takes a lot of courage in order to dive deep and to uncover these emotions that have been there and likely we've never talked about, or we've kind of talked about them, but then they've been dismissed, or we have a lot of shame around them, so we don't really share them with others, so then it just festers inside of us, or we have a lot of guilt around it that could, turn us to more food. So I really want to create this podcast, or I wanted to create this podcast and talk about it because not only did I experience this in my own journey, but I see it every single time with the women that I support in the weight loss journey, where we have to call these emotions what they are. We have to we have to know that they're there. We have to identify them. We have to process them, and we have to redirect them oftentimes so that we have a more supportive narrative to continue to get to the results that you're looking for. So our emotions may bring us to a certain desire for weight loss. They also may bring or halt our weight loss results. So I will share this. I'll share this with you. This was from my own journey. So as many of you know, if you've been around the Nourish You podcast, or if you followed me on social media or again on my newsletter, you know that I am a former chronic dieter, been on every diet that was out there, would lose weight, gain weight, maintain weight for a very short amount of time. And I found myself at my highest weight, even though I was dieting so frequently. Can anyone else relate with that? Like, you are dieting like all the time and yet you're at your highest weight like that. Oh my gosh, talk about the emotion of frustration, right? You are dieting all the time and yet you're at your highest weight. What gives? So I totally understand where you are coming from because that used to be me. And that's why I am so good at supporting women through this journey, is because I know how that journey feels. I was in that body of frustration. I was in that body of disappointment. I was in that body of disgust and grief and all the things. You name it, I felt it. And it really, when I was at the height of most of my dieting behaviors, and some of it really disordered behaviors, there were a lot of emotions happening within myself, within my family, within a lot of different, things that were around me that essentially made me go, or I thought, I'm not going to say made, the way that my mind processed it, because I like control, was, well, everything else around me is so out of control. I'm going to control my body, and I'm going to control the main thing that I put into my body, which is food, so that I feel like I have a sense of control. Mind you, insert. This is such a fake sense of control. It's unreal, but we think we have control. And so when I did my first Candida detox cleanse, I was actually, so this was from an emotional perspective, I was probably at my lowest. My family was going through a divorce. I was going through a transition with school. So I was getting out of high school where I knew a lot of people. I was really happy. High school was one of my favorite times in my life. And I was transitioning to college where no one knew me. I didn't know anyone. School was overwhelming. I dropped out of college momentarily because I was failing every class out there. I hate calculus, by the way. Still to this day, I don't get it. But that was the state that I was in. Those were just some of the things that were happening around me. And because I had no control around those things, I felt, well, I'm going to control all the food that I put into my body. And it became very, very disordered because I was down, I was just so, narrow focused, and it was so militant, and it was so basically extreme very black and white, that I would freak out if I had a food item that was not on the list, because that meant that, I was really out of control then. So this is where, my emotions at this time were so connected to weight loss, because I felt if I was doing the plan right, if I had all the right foods, if I was seeing the scale go down, then that meant that I had control of my life. And in some connected, I'm sure some therapists could get on here and share with me. Maybe I'll do that next time. Maybe I'll have a therapist talk through this a little bit more. But it gave me this sense that, okay, I was doing things right. Everything would be okay. It was calming me in that way. This is why we have a really hard time disconnecting or recreating a new relationship with food that isn't connected to a diet plan, because if we don't have something that we can go to, or boxes that we can check off, or things that are telling us what to do, like right or wrong, we feel even more out of control. And so if you feel out of control in your life already, and you're given a plan that is meant to build more freedom and less control, it can be very, very jarring for your system. So you have to be mindful of that. But so this is a little bit of the backstory of why I really wanted to talk about the emotions of weight loss, because I see this so often. Like I said, saw it in my own story. I see it in the stories of the women that I work with as we are recreating a new and healthier relationship with food and our bodies. Because think about it. A healthy relationship is not predicated on control. Let me say that again. A healthy relationship is not predicated on control. We can see that in our family situations, right? In relationships, when there is a lot of control going on, usually it's not a healthy relationship. Okay, I'm going to say all the time it's not a healthy relationship. But that's not my realm, so I'm not going to put my 2 cents in there. But when we have to have so much control and we do not trust ourselves around food, within ourselves, it means that we have a really unhealthy relationship. And I always like to say, this is not meant to be bad. This is meant to be like, oh, I notice I have a really unhealthy relationship with food. I should probably work on that, right? Like, this is really where the self-reflection can be so helpful, that we just see it. We want to create a neutral tone around it. It's not good. It's not bad. Every single person struggles with something. And maybe your something is the food aspect. But now that you know that, now that's a great opportunity to really step into, how can I change this? If I know that the one that's not working for me, if it was working for you, you wouldn't have tried diet number 2000. I'm just going to let that sit too, right? If it was working for you, you would not have to try diet number 2000. And 2, how can we step into a relationship with food and your body that isn't control-based? It's really freedom-based. You have the ability to choose and decide in a way that doesn't feel dire, in a way that doesn't feel so black and white, in a way that you know that you are nourishing your body, in a way that you are recognizing that food is really how we survive. Every single person has to eat food in order to continue in this lifetime, right? Like, so how do we really form this relationship around something that we know we have to have every single day and multiple times a day? So key, so powerful. So, there's so much empowerment and transformation within that when we really sit with, I know how to do this. I can trust myself. That it's okay to nourish my body. It's okay to do these things. It's okay to, feed yourself. It's okay to nourish your body. It's okay to have energy. It's okay to not have to micromanage it. It's okay. So that is, again, like I said, that's the backstory that I wanted you to know about what really triggered this and really what made me want to share this. And so today I wanted to focus a little bit more on those positive emotions, because here's what usually happens. Usually, maybe the more negative emotions trigger us to want to step into some form of change. So I'm going to talk about the positive emotions today. Then, and a little bit well, I might highlight apathy in the next one, and then we'll talk about the negative emotions. So I always wanted to start positive because if you are a coaching client of mine, you may have already experienced this, but I always like to start the tone with what went really well since the last time we talked. Tell me about this so that we can celebrate it, because what you celebrate, you repeat. And also, it gets you into the mindset that you can acknowledge and be proud of the things that you have actually done. So now we're getting into, you're getting conditioned to give yourself credit, which is something that, again, based on the women that I've worked with, can be really, really hard to do. It's so easy to dismiss the small things. Like, oh, I just went for a 20-minute walk. No, girlfriend, you went for a 20-minute walk. We're claiming that. Hey everyone, it's Jana, and I wanted to interrupt your content real quick to tell you about something that I've been using every single day, OWYN protein drink. I've been using it for the last year now and absolutely love this product. It's been something that's been so helpful to meet my protein needs, to meet my calorie needs, and to meet my overall nutrition and performance goals. I am super picky when it comes to recommending different products or supplements because I take a whole foods-based approach. So I highly encourage you to check this out for yourself, see if you like it. I do have a discount code for you. You can click the link in the show notes below. At checkout, you can put JanaM20 to get 20% off and check it out for yourself. Now back to the episode. So I want to start with the good because why not? Let's celebrate this. This is ultimately, oftentimes when someone says, I want to lose weight, what they are saying is, I want more joy. I want more happiness. I want more contentment. I want to feel proud of myself. I want to be empowered. I want to feel unstoppable. I want to look sexy. I want to love the skin that I'm in. That's what you're saying when you say, I want to lose weight. It's really not about the weight. If I can say that again, it's almost never about the weight. It's always about what we think we will gain by losing the weight. Now, certainly, I am all for women feeling confident in our body. And I understand that if we are at a certain weight, we may not feel comfortable in our body. It may feel, I've heard it described as, I feel off, I feel gross, I feel puffy. You just don't feel good in your body. I believe that is our intuition telling us that we are not in alignment with truly caring for ourselves. So I totally understand that is where we may be starting. Now, when we're thinking about losing weight, we feel that weight loss will give us certain positive emotions, which it certainly can. So you could lose 10 pounds and you could feel really good. You could feel really empowered. You can feel like there's hope because you have a sense of understanding of the direction that you're going in. You could feel inspired by your own actions. Certainly, this is possible with weight loss. But here's the tricky part with these positive emotions is oftentimes if we only connect them to losing weight and seeing the scale go down, what happens when you stop losing weight? What happens when weight loss is no longer the goal? So there comes a point where your body won't lose any more weight, or you'll look really skinny, or you might be really unhealthy, or you might start having an eating disorder or deficiencies. There comes a point where you're going to stop losing weight. And we want to actually maintain that weight loss. So if these positive emotions are only predicated on seeing the scale go down, we will automatically reconnect negative emotions or apathy. We'll say it doesn't even matter. We'll say you'll get frustrated because you did X, Y, and Z for the week and you didn't see the scale budge. It was only your positive emotions were only connected to seeing the scale go down. And that's my problem with it. These positive emotions are actually emotions that we need to build in ourselves, regardless of the scale going down, because your end point isn't going to give you that. There is going to come a point where that just stops. And so I like to find ways in my own journey, when I'm working with my coaching clients, of how can we disconnect the positive emotions solely from weight loss. Certainly it's going to be there. You should feel really proud of yourself for losing weight. You should feel really happy that you did the things necessary in order to lose that weight. You should feel, really inspired by your actions. Got it. Yes, we want to do that. But where does joy and happiness really come from? Where does the sense of empowerment and confidence really come from? Where does hope and gratitude really come from? This is where we actually step into the spiritual realm of wellness. So weight loss is very heavily so there are, you could find 7 to 9 realms of wellness. And these realms, and I never remember all of them, but weight loss is part of the physical realm of well-being. So anytime we're talking about getting active, changing our eating behavior, this is all part of the physical realm. But what we, again, oftentimes don't talk about is how we have to step into many different realms in order to really see the greatest level of success. And so in order to achieve these positive emotions outside of weight loss and to hold on to them when you have reached your goal and to continue to feel that way, even in a smaller body, we have to practice these emotions every single day. And that takes spiritual well-being. So the act of gratitude, that is a spiritual practice that you can engage in today. The the emotion of joy and happiness. I guarantee getting up in the morning and walking to the scale to see what number is on the scale does not bring you joy and happiness. Maybe it does. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know if that does. You send me an email. I would love to continue that conversation. But I'm going to guess that the things that really bring you joy and happiness are maybe connected with family, maybe laughing until your belly hurts, maybe seeing your kids go play and just enjoy themselves. These are really where the things of joy and happiness come from. Even contentment. So this is a big one that is a very slippery slope when we think that we will be more content when we hit a certain number on the scale. Because again, 9 times out of 10, we hit that number on the scale and it's kind of anticlimactic. It's like, oh, I reached my result. Now what? And then we say, oh, I'll lose 5 more pounds. And then you might lose 5 more pounds. And then you're like, oh, but I could lose 5 more pounds. It's never enough. So where do you find contentment outside of the weight loss process? So these are all positive emotions that you will likely feel. You should feel these emotions in the journey of weight loss, but they should not be connected to weight loss. They should be connected to who you are as an individual. And so I want to use this time to highlight these positive emotions that you likely want to feel. So if you're just starting out in your journey, maybe these are the emotions that you want to go after, and you can get to some of them through weight loss. And then what happens next? How can we start to disconnect them and practice these things on a daily basis? How can we practice joy and happiness and gratitude and feel hope and feel inspired? How can we do all these things even if you weren't going to be losing weight? And really, how can we feel these right now? Because if we don't start feeling these emotions and connecting to these emotions, then the whole weight loss process is going to suck. I just want to be very, very real with you, right? If we think about diets or having to lose weight, it is a biological stress to the body, and it can feel really uncomfortable. and it can really suck at times. And so when we don't bring in these other emotions, now we're just in a journey of suck. and we don't want to stay connected with it, right? Like we will do everything we possibly can to have some more fun with it, to have some joy with it, which usually brings us to why we fall off track, right? Is because the process wasn't fun for you. It was so boring. There wasn't joy. There wasn't happiness. There wasn't anything a part of it. It was just really boring. And again, you were following the rules. Big whoop-de-doo. That doesn't change you internally. So I encourage you to think about, as you are, wherever you are, if you're starting out in your journey, when you think about why you want to lose weight, is it because you want to connect with these positive emotions? And if the answer is yes, the next question I have for you is, how can you connect with these emotions today? If you are further along in the journey and you find yourself not even recognizing these emotions, my question to you is, how can you connect to these emotions today? And if you are now, you've achieved your weight loss results, you've been able to maintain them, how can you bolster these emotions today? Because these are really the emotions that we want to continue to connect with. And oftentimes when we lose sight of them, that is where things can feel off, where we're just kind of in the daily grind. There isn't this fulfillment aspect. There isn't this contentment aspect. There isn't anything like fun or joyous or whatnot. And so it can lead us to do different things. It can lead us to be in different emotional states that can make us feel really unmotivated and like we don't want to do anything. So again, how do we practice this? How do we practice bringing these positive emotions into our day-to-day right here, right now, in this moment? So if this is something that really resonates with you, here are some things that I have really been working on myself in being able to find more and more opportunities to connect with the positive. So there was a study that came out that said for every one negative thought, you have to counteract it with 6 or 7 positive thoughts. Think about that. So for every one negative thought that you share with yourself, in order to balance out the spectrum, we really need to give ourselves 6 to 7 positive thoughts. So that can be where the work is done. The work essentially is where you are practicing the things that you want to achieve, right? So practice makes progress, and all self-care is they're acts of practice. You are practicing what this feels like for your body. You are practicing what it means to care for your body. It's not going to be perfect. No one's wanting perfect. I'm not wanting perfect. If your coach wants perfect, really, find a person that's perfect. I would love to meet them. We don't want perfect. We just want progress. So here are some action steps that you can take. If this is something that really resonates with you, I encourage you to first start with gratitude. Sit. You can do this in the morning. You can do this midday. You can do this in the evening, whatever feels best for you. And list out in your mind 3 to 5 things that you are really grateful for, whether it be people in your life, animals in your life, kids in your life, your house, your home, your whatever abilities that you are so thankful for. But make sure to include yourself in this. What are you grateful for about yourself? What do you like about yourself? Give yourself 3 to 5 of those and start practicing the act of acknowledging those every single day. And then there's so many different ones I want to highlight, but the idea of being inspired. I think that that's something that we are really needing in today, in the sense of a lot of what we see out there isn't really inspiring. It's really frustrating. I don't know about anyone, I don't know about anyone else, but a lot of the things that I see as of late just really make me angry and sad. And so I purposefully go after acts of inspiration. I find things, I find people, I find my own actions inspiring. So for me, I consider it like the way I look at it for myself is if I said I'm going to do something and I did it, that's an act of inspiration because that's true integrity within yourself. And for me, I find people that what they say and what they do, when that aligns, that is so inspiring for me. And so I pick that up on other people, and I also pick that up in myself. So how can we connect with that gratitude and that inspiration? And then the joy and happiness. How can you find that in other places outside of food? How can you find that belly aching laughter? How can you just let loose and enjoy parts of life that are meant to be enjoyed? What do you need to bring into your world in order to feel more joy and happiness? And then the last one, contentment. How do you define contentment? When is enough enough? And how can you sit with that? What does that feel like in your body to say, that was good enough? That was good enough for today. This is something that literally blew my own freaking mind. I got to tell you guys. So I can work a lot. I can do a lot of things. Very productive person, probably pretty easily. Just I can do a lot of things. And I struggle with being able to say, I'm done for the day. And so I found myself not sleeping, really just not taking care of myself, didn't really have those time boundaries, and worn out. And I came across this, it was actually a coaching journal. And the question that was asked was, how do you define your capacity for the day? So essentially it's asking like, what is good enough for the day? And so I want to put that out to you as well of how do you define good enough for the day? Like, how do you know when you're done? How do you know that everything is okay? We got to bring this over to the next day, right? Like, what is your level of contentment? Because the reason why I like that so much is because it really, it defines capacity. It also defines what we have done. And it also begins the process of truly defining the contentment aspect. So I encourage you to think about these questions that I've left you with. Again, if you are a coaching client listening in, or if you're not, I am a huge person on self-reflection and journaling and getting answers to these questions that maybe we have never asked ourselves or someone has never asked us. Because I always like to think about it. If we get asked a question and our answer is, I don't know, that is always our opportunity to figure out an answer. The answer could change because we are meant to evolve. So it doesn't have to be the right answer, but we don't want to walk around just saying like, I don't know, like you're literally walking around with all these I don't knows in our body. No wonder we're confused, right? Like if you don't know the answer to that question, that is the first step is to get curious of what the answer could be. So I encourage you to get curious on these questions, to get curious about this topic for your own self, even outside of weight loss, but just health in general. And I encourage you to let me know what you think. Send me an email, get on my newsletter mailing list. You can certainly go to my website at www.healthwins.org. So www.healthwins.org. And let me know. I'd love to hear from you. All right. Look forward to part 2 of this. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day-to-day to tune in. If you love today's content, leave me a review letting me know exactly what you liked best. And remember to share my podcast with others to join the Nourish You community. If you want more great content like this between episodes, I encourage you to join my mailing list. You can click the link below in the show notes or check out my website at www.healthwins.org, and let's stay in touch. Until next time, I'm Jana. Talk soon.